All right, welcome back. We are now in game 5, Resist versus Neilm. Resist pulling a pretty good performance, having, of course, the Hell on their roster, made it really easy for them to come back in the late game after Neilm using a very aggressive mid-game strategy to try and pull away with a win early on to the game. Wasn't able to do so successfully, but now Neilm wants to try and cap off this series with a win after they did lead it off 2-0, I believe, and then, of course, Team Resist pulling off the 2-0 sweep, potentially a 3-0 sweep. And seeing the bans come out, Neilm off the bat gonna throw out the Hell ban, and then Team Resist.
Team Resist have banned out Xingqian, Neilm banned out Hell.
Okay.
Welcome to Smite Spectator. Welcome to Smite Spectator, guys. You can't see this all because there's some random stuff, but luckily we've got a nice little UI for you guys. So you can see that Xingqian was banned out first by the side of Team Resist, followed up by a Hell ban from Neilm, then it was a Soul from Team Resist again, followed by Zhongqi from Neilm. Now, carry on.
A little difficult to keep up when Spectator client wants to be like this, but nonetheless, looks like Janus going to be picked up by Team Resist first. A strong pickup. I am not surprised to see this one go over to Team Resist. And in response, Nox as well as Batz for Neilm.
Yep, so definitely going to be able to get a lot of mobility around, and Nox is one of those gods who I don't know if anyone plays sort of Arena, Joussery 3, or pretty much any other game that isn't Conquest. You usually will be sighing whenever you see a Nox on the enemy team, because that cripple and silence combo is so strong in every single other place. However, in Conquest, it's quite difficult to actually land it on the wave. Her wave clear isn't as easy to use, which means that she starts getting a little bit worse early on, but her late game is still incredibly powerful.
Yeah, her late game is still strong, and another scary factor is Neilm's Batz. Batz, of course, is a character that I think is not underplayed, but at least not respected enough as you usually would think. So Neilm taking that Batz is very strong for them. Team Resist, of course, responding with the Thor Geb, so a lot of survivability and rotatability coming out from Team Resist, having that global presence out of Janus and Thor, and having that quite effective rollout on Geb is going to be very impactful. Neilm responding with the Bellona.
Yeah, one thing we didn't get to talk about, actually, you can see that there was the Hell and Zhongqi ban. In fact, Neilm have banned out 3 bans the Team Resist played last time round, and they were all the gods that were doing ridiculous. I mean, I was saying it earlier that it was Hui, Hell, and Zhongqi. All of these guys were doing ridiculous amounts to the side of Neilm, and they just did not want to fight. So it makes sense, again, that they just want to try and make sure that they don't have to deal with those characters.
Yeah, they want to try and avoid having a repeat scenario. If you can take away that late game monstrosity that was Team Resist last game, then you can start to make an argument for having a better time around this time. But Hercules and Rama rounding out the Team Resist composition, whereas Ares is one of the first few picks for Neilm. Now, Hercules is a character that we don't see much. I mean, any input as to why?
Well, the main reason is the fact that he has a lot of difficulty in a decent amount of team compositions. Now, a lot of people say Hercules is unkillable, he doesn't die to anything, everyone should be picking him. However, he does actually die to a lot of things currently. The main thing is Guardians in the solo lane. Xingqian and Sobek are 2 of the top Guardians currently, and 2 of the top solo laners as well. Xingqian especially, they want to try and make sure that as well. Xingqian especially, they want to try and make sure that they can't they take a lot of damage before dying, and more importantly, they deal a lot of damage as well. These 2 Guardians are so strong that Hercules can't really do anything. He can only just sit there, and he can't get his farm out correctly. He has a little bit of issues doing it. However, in this matchup, this is the perfect matchup for him. He's up against a Bellona, and this is exactly where you always see it. And Balentine has a very good Hercules, and he knows what he's doing against this. This is one of the ones where I think we will see him win the solo lane, and pretty heavily.
You know, this is also a interesting matchup because it's not late game versus early game or mid game versus late game or anything like that. It's two very well-rounded team comps, I feel like. So Team Resist has Janus, very monstrous character from beginning to late game. Thor is going to bridge the gap between any kind of early game pressure to the late game point. Hercules, as you mentioned, is going to also be a very tanky body and win the matchup against Bellona. So they've got a lot of early game tools as well as a lot of hyper aggressive, or not hyper aggressive, but high damaging late game carries such as Janus and Rama. Meanwhile, Neilm, they have a lot of good team fighting tools. I mean, just having the Humbots itself already brings a whole nother dimension of team fighting capabilities to your roster. And then you add also the factor of Bellona, Nox, Ares, Xbalanque, all these characters are really good for team fighting. So Neilm really liking to favor the teams that force them to do things in unison rather than do things in the laning phase. Because honestly, I think Team Resist has the better laning phase team composition. I think Neilm this time around actually has the better team fight.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, and they're sort of going with the same thing that Team Resist did to them last time. They're saying, well, you do it, I'm going to do it. How do you like that? How do you like your own medicine? And that's going to be quite an interesting one. However, the big thing to keep in mind is that Team Resist still have a pretty good team fight. They've got some very good characters who aren't bad at most stages. I mean, Thor is probably the best known. I don't think there is actually a time where he really falls off, apart from maybe in the mid game. Otherwise, he is pretty much dominant throughout the game. Same with Janus, he can get pretty dominant, although if he has someone he's up against early on who's very strong, he will have problems. Everywhere else he does pretty well, and he gets better and better and better. So it's going to be quite an interesting thing. I think the team fights are going to be an absolute bloodbath. Also, don't forget, we actually haven't really mentioned this too much, but there are a lot of things that these teams are fighting for. As we mentioned, it's a total prize pool of $10,500. First place goes away with $5,000. Second place is $2,500, and these guys are currently in the semi-final. So they are going to get a lot less than that if they lose this game. It is 2-2 in this best of 5 matchup right now. On top of that, the top 2 Challenger Cup teams get a guaranteed spot into relegations for the 2016 SPL.
So there you go. There's a lot on the line, a lot of future pride and glory as well as opportunities for a team. And, you know, it's always exciting to see that happen, but they have to get through this opponent first. Neilm, of course, wanting to beat Team Resist. Team Resist, of course, wanting to beat Neilm. Both of the teams are going to want to give it their all this time around. No mistakes, no errors, no misplays. You have to try and step up your game right here, right now, so you have a chance to go to the finals and get even more rewards for your efforts. And, you know, keep in mind, guys, these guys have went through 8 weeks of just nothing but game after game after game. I can imagine that practicing, scrims, everything like that was just a very tiring experience for a lot of these guys who still have a lot of other aspects of their life.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, this Challenger tournament has taken up all of our lives involved. We put a lot of effort into this, and it has come out so well, and we're getting into the final week. So let's introduce these teams. If you haven't seen them before, we have Team Resist. Turnip is going to be playing Rama in the ADC role. Leftsyndrome is going to be Geb in the support role. deadlymidget is going to be playing Janus in mid lane. Over in the jungle is going to be themollusk on that red pot Thor. Balentine is going to be playing Hercules in the solo lane.
And meanwhile, over on Neilm's side, red jerseys, we've got NeiruMah in the support role as Ares, Covi in the solo lane as Bellona, Grishank in the jungle as Humbaz, JiminyGlick in the middle lane as Nox, and finally PandaCat as the hunter Xbalanque. Now, one of my biggest questions of this game and one of the big checkpoints for Neilm is whether or not they get a kill in the dual lane, because Ares is known for just having high aggression with those chains, and if he doesn't do so, he doesn't really have a good soft spot. Like, I'm not winning my lane hard, but I'm also not exactly losing, you know, like rocking that steady. Well, it's okay. There's no it's okay Ares. It's more like, oh my god, it's Ares, or it's just Ares.
Yeah, I mean, this is the this is a little bit where I think that Neilm could actually lose their laning phase. Xbalanque does not have that great clear early. Ares does also not have that great clear early. They do have some potential to be able to get a kill, but they have to get that kill. And you can see Leftsyndrome right now getting hit by quite a bit of chains, doing quite a bit of damage to him, but NeiruMah's taking even more, and this is the biggest problem for the side of Neilm. They're going to take a lot more damage than they're going to be able to deal out, especially against a Geb who's going to have the stone shield afterwards.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Rama has the death toll on his person. Xbalanque going for the transcendent start. So basically, Rama wants to go for the best opportunity of just life regen. They know that they lose the lane if Ares gets too much damage onto the opposing AD carry, so they want to avoid that. Now, over in the solo lane, that's where one of the more interesting matchups is of Hercules versus Bellona. All right, now I think that Bellona is coming out pretty victorious in the matchup. Balentine not able to necessarily stop her from getting those pretty high damage hammer swings.
Yep, and this is what he needs to try and do. He needs to try and stop those hammer swings coming out. Otherwise, you're going to be able to clear the wave fairly easily. You can see right now, he cleared pretty much nothing compared to her, who's already taken out the full wave. In fact, that entire wave of minions is going to go to the tower. That's really unfortunate for Balentine. He's going to chuck them out of the tower just to be able to get a little bit. But this is a big problem for Hercules early on. Eventually, as long as he gets those driving strikes in the correct position to be able to pull her out of those hammers, she's going to be able to do a lot less than he is. However, on the dual lane, we're going to actually see NeiruMah already finishing off Leftsyndrome. So they were able to get that final kill. However, Turnip is trying to go on to NeiruMah, going to be able to get a very nice roll out. The Janus ulti coming in as well. Turnip just trying to get a couple of damage, but it's not going to be enough. He may go down. He's going to go down to PandaCat. And now Grishank is going to be the person trying to engage. Nice threshold there. Actually going to be forcing out Neilm. But that's unfortunate.
He just kept sidestepping like, oh. And unfortunately, Rama just couldn't land the auto attacks needed to actually secure the kill, and he ended up getting baited into the idea of, we're going to get this kill, and it ended up giving over another kill, actually over to Neilm, as unfortunately Resist starting off this game in a bad pace. Ares starting off with 1 kill, 1 assist. That's more than enough to get him into that kind of pseudo carry support role. And Xbalanque, more importantly, got a stack onto his passive as well. So just all around dual lane making a big impact. I think that that's going to be a focal point of this game from now on. Meanwhile, over in the solo lane, one of the other weaknesses that Hercules has is starting to take impact. He doesn't have good sustainability in lane in terms of his mana. Bellona doesn't have to use as much mana to clear waves. She only needs to use 1 ability, realistically speaking, to clear wave, whereas Hercules has to use 2 for a long time. So bit difficult for him to actually stay in lane if he doesn't have blue buff or at least some kind of mana regen in the form of, say, pots. So he has to oftentimes back. But at the same time, he backed, Bellona backed as well, so it worked out for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bellona didn't really have any reason to stay in that lane. She wasn't going to get any benefit out of it. In fact, she probably would have died if she stayed too much longer, so it was a much wiser choice just to leave and go for that. More importantly as well, the blue buffs are now up, so that's going to make sure that they're going to be able to get that little bit longer of mana regen in the lane, and hopefully it should be a little bit more beneficial to Balentine. But I actually think there's very little time where Hercules doesn't have to use 2 abilities to be able to clear the lane, so that's going to be a big problem for them. However, there seems to be a little bit of stuff brewing around the mid camps.
Yeah, and you want to talk about scary level 5s. I don't know if Resist necessarily wants to take this, but it looks like they're going for it, and they're bringing it right down onto the members of Neilm, as there it is, Thor on the backside going right on a knock. She's going to be able to get out. Meanwhile, Boulder comes out, and a couple of members of Neilm are way too low to stay in this fight, and unfortunately for NeiruMah, he catches the bad end of it through space and time, and is going to be taken out. Midcamp's going the way of Resist as they pick up their first kill of the game.
Turnip also tried getting a couple of snipes out. He very nearly hit Grishank, but unfortunately he's no Snoopy, and he just wasn't able to get the last hit that he needed. That would have actually been amazing for him. He very much needed that kill, because now Xbalanque has been able to get a lot of farm. He's got his Transcendence up already. He's sitting a whole level above him. This is quite painful for him, but in the solo lane.
Yeah, Bellona actually going really aggressive, using the Eagles rally to try and set up a kill onto Balentine, and actually possibly could have done so if Thor wasn't there, but unfortunately that's not how the story went. Thor was there, and he is able to get his speed buff, and he is able to give Balentine a little breathing room and remind Bellona that she's not alone in the soul lane with Hercules. She still has to deal with that pretty high global presence from Thor, but she is going to keep trying to put out damage and successfully doing so in dividends, and I don't think Balentine's too comfortable in this matchup just yet.
Yep, not too comfortable as of yet. You do have to make sure that you've got to know how the enemy Bellona will play, because there are a lot of different playstyles for Bellona. A lot of people actually forget that all three of her abilities do have some very good clear potential. But mainly her 2 and 3, and quite often you'll actually see a lot of people start using her Scourge against Hercules, which is a much better option, because more importantly, it stops him from being he has to be a little more safer in lane. The Bellona is still going to be able to pretty much insta-clear the wave, and then she also isn't going to have to worry about the fact if Hercules gets the driving strike, it's not going to matter as well, because she's not going to be out of position. She's got the Scourge to heal her up, and she's got the Bludgeon to do damage if she really needs to anyway, which it actually does a lot of damage base. I mean, I was actually having a look at it a while ago. You can get, I think it's something along the lines of 200% physical power scaling or something, if you get 3 or 4 targets in that little hammer drop.
Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Thor going up into the air. He wants to try and start a fight here on the home boss. Maybe no, they're actually going to go all in on JiminyGlick, who unfortunately was caught out in a bad situation. Humboss not electing to use the ultimate. Eagles rally comes out, however, and there it is. Now he finally pops it out, but is it too late? The mollusk is going to be able to get out potentially. No, not able to do so. Covi able to pick up the kill. Leftsyndrome is in an awkward spot. Is going to be slowed out and killed off by Covi. Double kill for him. Ares setting up more kills for his teammates, as now they're going to retreat. The Hercules is in lane now, so they're going to just back off and feel confident with the 2-for-1 trade in favor of Neilm. 3-for-1 actually, so yeah.
Yeah, Rama fell as well. I heard his ultimate channeling in the background. I didn't realize that he was that low on health, and now they're actually going to look for Balentine as well. Very nice knock into the tower. Covi is on pretty much no health, but they can't chase him. NeiruMah is also on no health, but again, they just can't follow it up. That was a really nice fight for the side of Neilm.
Oh, well, you want to talk about some scary playstyle, They've completely maximized the efficiency of their health usage and have no fear in doing so. Credit to the members of Neilm there. But now they still need to make some big plays. They need to go ahead and try and get this Xbalanque nice and beefed up. He only has 1 stack on his passive and only 1 assist, so if they can combine some Darkest Night into some kills on the other side of the map, or at least in the middle lane, then they can actually give him quite the advantage over his Rama opponent.
Yeah, and that's a very important thing. As long as you can get ahead of this Rama, who actually is going to get knocked out of the rolling assault. Oh, I don't know if you've been in that position before. I imagine you have. It's one of the worst feelings.
Yeah, you just got predicted hard. That wasn't even like a lightweight prediction. No, that was. I know you're about to roll. I know exactly where you're about to roll, and I'm going to stop you from rolling and show you that I am better than you. That's a funny little thing I just saw there. That's pretty cool. Nifty.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of funny little things, did you know that Sol, when she uses her Disapparate, while she's in that form, you can actually walk through Urgent Rings if you are in the incorporeal
Yes,
form.
I saw that.
I know. It's one of the
actually kind of messed up.
It is one of those very interesting things, but Leftsyndrome going to get called out. Force will actually use beads there. Mollusk going to go up into the air, though. Not going to land onto anyone, unfortunately. And now the Nox ultimate is going to come out. Humbat's ultimate used. Leftsyndrome is not going to stand a chance here. NeiruMah going to take that kill. Grishank very low, though. Turnip, I think, going to try and finish him off. There we go. With 1 shot.
Oh, but speaking of 1-shots, NeiruMah almost finished off with 1 shot. He's going to barely be able to escape, actually, as a lot of the members of Resist had their attention focused onto other members of Neilm, but they probably could have used that kill on NeiruMah, if anything, and unfortunately they're going to have to wave goodbye to that. However, it is a 1-for-1 trade-off there, so not the end of the world as Bellona and Hercules make their way back over the Soul Lane, and with a Thor visitor as well.
And that was a much better trade for the side of Team Resist. I mean, Leftsyndrome sitting at 0-3 right now, whereas Grishank, that was his first death. And more importantly, it's a jungle compared to a support. Without a doubt, those are the kills you sort of want to be trying to pick up, especially a Batz who was sitting on pretty much nothing except farm.
Yeah, Batz hasn't exactly had the biggest impact in the game so far, but again, he just doesn't fall off, so it doesn't feel as bad as if you were a Thor that has no impact in the game, because that's literally your job. Your job is only to get some good Thor dunks, to get some good Thor walls, some Berserker barrages, some Mjolnir's attunements, all that good stuff. Whereas Batz, just drop your ultimate. That's all you gotta do. Just drop your ultimate, and the rest will kind of do itself. But if you don't do that, then there's a problem. And you know, they have actually a lot of setup to pop beads. I mean, Ares' whole job is going to be beats popper at the end of the game. That's his whole function, and that is going to free up a lot of flexibility for Batz afterwards. So I really like this high CC team comp they have. They have 3 kind of big AoE present stuns that has to be avoided in most scenarios, otherwise all the squishy characters on resist would just die off.
Yeah, I mean, Neilm has insane CC. We're going to see the Batz ultimate used again, which forces deadlymidget out, and actually this could be the end of the mollusk here. He's going to go down again. Leftsyndrome tried to get the stone shield in there. I don't know if you saw just off the edge of the screen. He tried. He had like a basic attack animation, which was actually him trying to get that stone shield off. Unfortunately, it was not in time though, and it looks like Neilm wants to start up the gold fury. They could very much do so, although they've already used the silence. This could be a bad choice for them as Leftsyndrome's hit.
Cataclysm to use, but no one there to follow up. Rama up in the air. He's going to go ahead and start raining down some shots. Only hits 1 onto NeiruMah. Not really going to be that effective. Batz is here, and he doesn't have ultimate, so that is one of the benefits that Resist have. They don't have to deal with that ultimate just yet, but it is going to be up relatively soon. He's only got about 40 seconds left on that, so if they want to make a play, they need to do it soon.
Yep, they definitely need to do it soon. The question is, where are they going to want to do this? This gold fury, as you said, is pretty easy target. However, it's not easy enough for Team Resist or Neilm to go for it. They need to be able to get a lot of kills out to be able to properly secure these. There's no Ymir or Isis or Hui who will be able to just take it out and drop a giant AoE around there to make sure that if anyone does come, they're going to be destroyed. Bellona on the right side, though, going to be forced away a little bit after a Thor gank, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah, it didn't do anything because Bellona is just Bellona. She's going to do Bellona things. And taking a look at the Bellona build, she's actually got the Runeforged Hammer, which is an item we see oftentimes on her, of all people. Very rarely do you see it on her other bruiser counterparts. Like Hercules typically wants the mystical mail or anything else, and I think that's actually what he's backing for right now, is to get that mystical mail. And yeah, there it is. So Bellona, really one of the few people that still get the Runeforged Hammer.
Yeah, interesting thing to note, actually looking at Nox's build, she's going for this very high cooldown, same with the Janus actually, and this is the only god that you usually see it on currently. She wants to try and get these silences and cripples out immediately. I think it's on probably by now something like a 8-second cooldown, I want to say. I think you can probably confirm it for me if you've got the player stats up. But that silence is up so often, and it does so much in the middle of a team fight just to shut someone down for 2 seconds and make sure that they can't move. They're going to take about half of their health and damage. It is actually quite ridiculous. So trying to get these out sort of every 8 seconds or so in the middle of a fight is pretty much deadly to anyone who enters it.
Yeah, so now we have a full 4 members of Neilm over next to the Gold Fury. I imagine they're looking for just any kind of kill opportunity that they can get. And it looks like they want to try and start off with going after Rama, but unfortunately for them, he's a little bit too safe of a distance for them to actually be able to all-in jump in on that. But they might still go for it. Nope, NeiruMah too slow on the chain.
Yeah, unfortunately that is the biggest problem with Ares chains, is there is actually quite a slow travel time for it coming out when it first hits. I think it's just a little bit faster than Ul's axe, but it's very slow. You can dodge it pretty easily by using something like Rolling Assault. Unfortunately, if you can predict where Rolling Assault is going, like we saw earlier, you know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to get rooted halfway through. Well, no, sorry, going to get crippled halfway through it. But this is one of those interesting things that you have to try and think about, and you have to make sure that you've got it ready to go. And hopefully, if you can get these very awesome chains coming off, your entire team can then capitalize off of it, because that's someone not being able to move for 8 seconds.
Well, over in the solo lane, just a tank slap off now, as both of these characters have reached the point where they're virtually unkillable for all intents and purposes, at least to each other. Get a third party involved, maybe we'll see some kill opportunities happen. But as of right now, it's just a small inch and mile battle. Over at the Gold Fury, though, it looks like Resist wants to start up, or at least start up a fight, and NeiruMah is going to be the person caught out. Cataclysm used only on him, so if the members of Neilm find a response fight, they are likely to win it, as that is a big AoE tool just taken away completely. Thor going to land over the middle lane just to try and clear out the wave, and he's going to use his Mjolnir's attunement to get to safety as Humbots clears out the wave. And again, Cataclysm gone is going to be very huge as an Eagles rally used. There's Janus getting intestinally ripped by NeiruMah, while the rest of the members of Neilm are going to try and start the chase. And oh my god, the range on that thing is so redonk. But yeah, Gold Fury is going to be started up, and Resist is not feeling too confident about trying to stop this one, only having Geb with no Cataclysm, as well as Hercules. And Neilm still gets the Gold Fury, while at the same time turn their attention over to the Hercules. Not going to be an easy target to take down, so they're going to just elect to retreat.
Yeah, that was a really nice attempt from Team Resist to try and steal that Gold Fury. Leftsyndrome did not have his ulti up. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to get into that fight. So what they decided to do was say, hey, Balentine, you have your ultimate, right? Just wait over the wall and then ult it. They knew exactly where it was, as they had the warding over Neilm on that Gold Fury, so they could predict exactly where the Hercules ultimate was going to hit. Unfortunately, it was ever so slightly too late, so they weren't able to do that. Thor also had a very good idea. Mollusk was actually split pushing over on the right hand side. I was keeping an eye on it. I wasn't really looking too much though. Unfortunately, Grishank came over and said, no, this tower is still alive. I'm not going to let you do that.
Well, I mean, if anything, it's only a couple auto attacks away, so that's still some good damage being put onto the tower. They can all invest and get that at a later point. More surprising to me, though, is Hercules electing to come into lane. He does have blue buff working on his mana pool right now, regening that back up, but he's still fairly low on mana, almost to the point where it'd be more suggested for him to go back to base and then come back at least with some items, but instead, he elected to stay. However, not too long after, he did go back to base and buy and use the TP to come back. Could have waited to use that and let Thor just push the lane up and use that as a tool, but instead he elected to go this route and ends up fighting against 2 people from Neilm's side.
Yeah, he wants to try and make sure that this tower isn't going to go down. Thor actually finally coming back. He did sit in the mid lane for a little bit. I think they wanted to try and start a fight over there, but there wasn't really anyone good to go on. Thor is still staying over here, though. They want to try and do stuff, and Bellona just took a little too long. Thor actually dived the tower there, but it's not going to be fast enough. He's not going to be able to take it out. Bellona, though, could still lose her tower.
Yeah, I think what happened there was that Bellona went to the middle lane to try and make a play happen, because they knew that there was going to be a little bit too much investment into taking out an already crippled tower. And so they wanted to try and make a play on middle lane, but unfortunately then Janus was playing a little bit too safe for them, and so they ended up still losing the tower and not really gaining anything out of it. But now, here they are at tier 1 tower over in the dual lane. 2-man Cataclysm goes out, and through space and time, as well as a Thor ultimate, is going to be channeled up. Thor only landing onto Humbots. Tower is gone, and there's the Ares ultimate as Humbots throws out his ultimate as well, but it might have been used a little bit too soon, as now they have no big AoE CC to offer. But there's Bellona with the Eagles rally on the backside. Meanwhile, over on the front line, Balentine trying to make a big play, but he's actually going to be in a lot of trouble here, using the mitigate wounds to try and get back up to a comfortable point of health, and he's going to be on the backside. Throws out the boulder, not going to land on anybody, but does clear the wave, giving the members of Resist a little bit more breathing room. Thor comes in with the Berserker Barrage. He wants to try and make some more plays, taking a lot of damage for his effort, though. Geb Shield is going to protect him a bit more, and now it looks like the members of Neilm are in an awkward spot as PandaCat has to try and get out. Pops the beats, however, or actually, no, that's a visual glitch. No, that's actually just his skin. Yeah, there it is. So they're going to back off, feel a little bit more comfortable with the fact that they did.
Oh, actually, in the mid lane, Grishank being chased by deadlymidget is going to be actually found. That's going to be another kill going to Team Resist, which is big, as they don't have too many of those. We've just hit the 20-minute mark, so let's have a look at the golden XP difference. And that XP difference, though, that's a very interesting graph.
Of those. But yeah, no, the graph is looking really interesting just because it keeps fluctuating up, down, up, down, up, down. And you know, the Gold Fury comes out and hold on.
In the middle, though.
Yeah, over in the middle lane, there's going to be a lot of damage going through as NeiruMah pops the ultimate and gets 2 people. So a good fight start so far as Leftsyndrome taken out almost immediately. Xbalanque still raining out the damage. He's gonna be a little bit too far away to continue on his bola damage, but they are gonna try and go for the aggressive steal onto the speed buff, and they might be able to get away with it.
Might is a very weak word. They are definitely going to be able to get away with it. Very nice chain, actually going to make sure that PandaCat survives a little bit longer. He's trying to keep it out, but a very nice Janus ulti is going to be able to finish him off. Balentine also finishing off NeiruMah, so cancel what I said about them getting away with it safely. They didn't get away with it whatsoever.
Yeah, they kind of got punished really hard for that greed. Ended up losing 2 people just for the attempt at a speed buff steal. Not even the actual speed buff steal. So they lost their members and the speed buff. Not a good day for Neilm in that aspect. But at the same time, got to give a lot of credit over to Covi. He's had an amazing performance. Actually, highest player damage of the game, 14,000 and sitting 4-0-2. He's been the backbone of Neilm so far, and they're going to really need to utilize him as much as possible if they want to harass this Janus as well as Rama and give themselves the best opportunity possible to win this game.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind, for those who are just sort of joining us about halfway through, we're 22 minutes into this game. This is the 4th game of a semi-final match. They're going into the finals to be able to fight up for a lot of money and SPL relegation spots, not actual SPL spots. That would be way more interesting. But they are fighting for a lot of stuff here. This is the final game of a best-of-5 series, and whoever wins this game will be going up versus risky behavior in the finals.
Well, now they're posturing on the Gold Fury and looking for some kind of opportunity. NeiruMah throwing out some chains just to kind of poke and prod at their enemy counterparts. Thor up in the air. This looks like the start of the fight. He lands on a nobody. No escape is used on NeiruMah, and there's only going to be 1 person caught there. Eagles rallying, not necessarily landing a stun, but still getting a good protection circle for the team, and that's Bellona chasing onto the Rama as Batz used his ultimate to set up a kill, but again, nobody getting anything. There's the silence. Rama up in the air. He should die when he comes back down. He's looking for some kind of damage, but NeiruMah being the lowest person, not going to really matter that much. Turnip taken out. Now they're going to have to deal with the fact that Gold Fury is going to be taken on the side of Neilm, and there's nothing that Resist can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, deadlymidget does have his ultimate. He's probably going to try and seal it away if he wants to. Yeah, there we go. The ultimate's going to come through. Not going to be enough to be able to take it out, though. Neilm is going to get the gold fury, and that's the 2nd one of the game, giving them a little bit of a gold lead. Well, I mean, a lot of a gold lead, sitting at 5,000 right now. However, I was looking at the XP difference, because that's still only 1,000 to 2,000 in their favor. That's pretty much nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of winning lanes per se on the side of Resist. Hercules still somewhat tied with Bellona in terms of XP, just not actually up to snuff when it comes to gold, and that's just because Bellona has had a lot of kills and assists. And then, you know, you look over at the AD carry position, that's the big discrepancy there. I mean, Xbalanque has 2 kills, 5 assists, has been farming really effectively versus Rama, who's actually sitting around 2,000 gold behind and a pretty significant amount of experience behind. So it's really just certain people who are behind a lot versus certain people who are not behind a lot, actually tied or ahead. And in fact, look at the middle lane, that's where they are ahead, as Janus is actually ahead in EXP over the Nox.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we actually haven't spent much time talking about is this ADC matchup. So Ram versus Xbalanque. Usually you will see Xbalanque win later on. What is going on between these two? Are they just having a little bit of a slap fest?
No, Scourge just stole the blue buff after Hercules used the boulder. Hercules used the boulder, and then just all of a sudden Scourge, and she just stole it. But
and then the entire rotation from the Neilm team is actually going to be able to finish him off, so that's going to really hurt for him. But the rest of Team Resist is now over here. NeiruMah going to get a very nice ultimate. Unfortunately, Beads is going to be popped by all of them. Leftsyndrome going to be finished off by PandaCat, though. This could be a fire giant if Neilm really wants to.
I don't know if they can necessarily do it. I'm not sure if they got the sound cue that Thor went up into the air. That might be the signifier that they would go for it, but I think the safe approach here is just fine all the same, especially after the last game where they might have been a bit too aggressive at certain points of the game and ended up getting punished for it. So I like the safe approach here. Maybe take the blue buff and then call it a day. I wouldn't be too displeased with that. If you are going to go for the tier 2 tower, though, you better go for it a little bit harder than you have been. And it looks like that is going to be the call. Get the blue buff, give it over to NeiruMah, and go ahead and spend some of this gold and come back in with a fresh set of items.
Yeah, and I think actually there was a lot of split decisions between in the middle of Neilm. You could see that a lot of people were just like, let's go for the tier 1, then let's go for the tier 2. Be safe, just don't go for the fire giant. Rama ultimate is still up. Whereas the rest of them were the, let's go fire giant, we can take it. And the problem with that is that actually made sure that they weren't able to go for the tier 2 tower, because they could have very easily taken that as well. They just decided that they were so torn, they couldn't decide fast enough. So they just had to go for the tier 1 and back off, playing it even safer than they were hoping for. They could have done one or the other, but unfortunately, the way that they went, it just doesn't let them do both.
So Bellona going for the Pestilence, getting that magic protection to survive any kind of Janus, Unstable Vortex, or through space and time, as well as kind of shutting down a little bit of the healing going on by Hercules as well as Rama. So just giving themselves the best opportunity to just kill off some of these annoying characters that can still make big impacts during team fights, rather than sitting here and chasing them, because that's one of the, biggest problems that some teams experience when they go up against a Hercules, is that they get so invested in chasing him and trying to kill him off when he's got mitigate wounds, just ticking and ticking and ticking for him, that they end up getting return initiated on by the enemy team and killed off quite easily, actually.
Yeah, and we're actually going to see a little bit of fight going on here. Leftsyndrome is probably going to die again. In fact, a very nice portal from deadlymidget there is going to be able to make sure that he is going to be a lot safer than he was. But this is actually something I was going to mention briefly before they started up. Leftsyndrome is really far behind. He doesn't have his sovereignty yet. He's just sitting on a silver talisman. This is really hurting the side of Team Resist. He needs to get that finished off as soon as possible, because that's going to give them extra physical protection in an aura, which is vital right now.
Well, Xbalanque is still lacking a couple of stacks, not too many. He's at 4 already, so just a little bit more, and he's going to be maxed out in that aspect. And Thor might be a little caught out here, looking at a Nox as well as a Xbalanque. He doesn't want to mess around with that. Immediately goes into the stun wall, into ultimate. So that might be a Gold Fury going over to Neilm, but it looks like they're just going to back off and come back with wards, more than likely, to make sure that they have, the best opportunity to defend this or take it.
Yep, and we're going to see PandaCat starting it up, along with JiminyGlick sitting on the side, just doing a couple of basic attacks into it. However, Team Resist is posturing, ready to go for it. Grishank's now going to visit here. He does have his ultimate, so they've got to be quite careful on the side of Resist. Actually going to see the Janus ultimate used already. Balentine's just going to take one of the portals just to make sure that he's going to be able to be safe. This is pretty bad for the side of Team Resist, but they're doing the best call right now, hopefully. And I hope the rest of the Team Resist follow it up. If these guys go for Gold Fury, you should just go for Fire Giant. It is the simple thing.
But that's a little bit harder of an objective to secure, especially considering all things. But that's Bees down on Turnip as the fight is split up. You've got one Bellona chasing 2 members of Resist, and you've got a Thor on the backside trying to make the fight happen. Cataclysm comes out. They're able to get the kill onto Xbalanque, which is going to be huge for them. And this actually is a fight completely in favor of Resist, now that they've sacrificed their Thor to gain a kill onto one of the big hyper carries on the side of Neilm. And now they're trying to get JiminyGlick, but he's able to escape there. Bellona still in the area. She might be able to stop the Gold Fury, but instead electing to try and maybe make a big play onto Rama. And doesn't look like Gold Fury is even going to be attempted by the guys in Resist, really respecting the damage and presence that Bellona brings to the table.
Well, I mean, there was still a lot of people around for the side of Neilm. It was Grishank was sitting over in the left lane, Bellona was in middle, and JiminyGlick was hovering in between the two. There wasn't really going to be any way that they could take Gold Fury easily. So the best thing that they wanted to do is just make sure that they won that fight. They don't need to do anything else. Back off, get ready for the next one. Because they are going to be doing another fight pretty soon in some place. The question is where. And you can actually see Covi right now is just sitting here. He's going to be able to get the Scourge and steal away the attack speed buff. That Scourge is OP, man.
Yeah, he's been a champion at stealing buffs just with Scourge. Like, not even investing anything else, just Scourge. And all of a sudden he walks away with a blue buff. He takes away an attack speed buff. I mean, he has just been on point with those. But putting that aside, I think that he's actually been a very influential character throughout most of this game. And if anything, he's probably going to be the reason that Neilm either win or lose. Not saying that it would be his fault if they lose, but more so he is the winning factor for them. But Gold Fury being done, nobody knows it's happening because everyone else on Neilm are just keeping the attention of Resist at the front level. And now Gold Fury is taken, Neilm have it, and there's nothing that Resist actually took.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did at least get some benefit out of it for Resist. They actually got rid of the Batz ulti, which is going to be pretty big in the next fight. You can see the Mollusk trying to go in, actually forced to use his beads, trying to do as much damage as possible. He could be caught out here, going to get crippled, meaning that he can't teleport to his hammer. However, the Stone Shield should be able to keep him out.
And now Bellona making Bellona impacts as she's chasing down Rama, who has no escape mechanic, forced to use the portal offered to him by Janus. And unfortunately, the rest of the members of Resist were just left behind. And so because of that split up, that offered up enough distance for Resist to just pick them apart. And now they're looking at the Fire Giant, and this could be very free for them. I don't really see any way that Resist can make a defense here, especially when Thor ultimate as well as through space and time from Janus is just gone.
Rama ultimate gonna go up in the air. Is it gonna be enough though? He's looking at it. He doesn't know if he can do it or not. He's gonna be able to steal it.
Resist stole it with the Rama ultimate. Alright, well, that is the epitome.
Alright guys, GG, see you later.
That is the epitome of just a scumbag move. But all jokes aside, that is really important. The fact that he stole that Fire Giant severely cuts down on Neilm's potential to push into the base of Resist. They can't crack the eggshell open now. They can't pop a Phoenix without that Fire Giant. What they can do, however, is clear off at least 2 of these tier 2 towers. However, it might be a little bit too much to ask for as Cataclysm comes out. Thor is making big plays on the front side of the line of Resist, and now, oh my goodness, Thor is not wanting to stick around anymore. He's actually going to be taking way too much damage. Bellona doing the same. She's actually forced to use the Eagle's Rally as an escape mechanic for the first time this game, and she's going to be able to get out as well as the rest of the members of Neilm.
Unfortunately for the Thor there, he just landed in the middle of the silence to start off with when he got into the fight, landed in the silence, used his ultimate to get out of the damage, landed in the silence again. So he pretty much lost his entire health immediately. However, he didn't die, which is the most important thing, because he's one of the 2 gods on the side of Team Resist that has Fire Giant currently. And as long as he doesn't die, that Fire Giant is still going to give him a lot of damage, a lot of sieging potential. He's going to be able to do a lot more in these fights, so he needs to be able to keep alive.
Yeah, him and Rama. In fact, if anything, Rama, I would put it as the highest priority of keeping Fire Giant, because that's just so much damage potential on your backline if you can keep it. But at the same time, you still need to utilize it. You can't just sit back there and say, I've got a golden ticket. You've actually got to turn it in. So you need to make a play with this Rama. You are behind almost 10,000 gold, but if you can look for some kind of aggressive play and you have Rama nearby, I would go for it. So if Xbalanque had, say, pushed up in the duo lane right now and Janus could pinch on him, I would almost argue that it would be idiotic to not try and invest in a kill on Xbalanque. But that being put aside, not what happened, not the story, not the case. Neilm looking to try and make another swing back play after losing the Fire Giant.
Yep, they are indeed, but Resist are just farming. They know that they're not going to be able to actually take down too many towers. The Scourge over the wall there nearly stole the speed buff. It would have been amazing if that actually happened. Unfortunately, third time is not the charm.
He would be 3 for 3 on Scourge steals.
Yeah, unfortunately not the time to be able to do that. But as I was saying, Resist, they only have 2 Fire Gianted members. That is only 2 compared to the 5 or so that you'd usually see. This means that although, yes, these are some really big buffs, it's not enough for Team Resist to actually be starting to do their own sieging. They still need to sit back and they need to play it safe. Once they get their Geb a little bit later on into the game, a little bit more gold, which hopefully this will allow them to do. Here. Yeah, Thor's going to go up into the air though, so we'll see what happens after this fight.
Oh! Why didn't he come down on that cataclysm? I think he was out of range, but it doesn't matter. Humbot's on the backside gonna rain out some damage. He's taking a little bit too much from tower, and now it's starting to break out into an all-out just brawl. Rama raining down some shots, misses the last one that could have secured the kill on the Humbot. He's gonna be able to escape out just fine, and meanwhile, Eagles Rally is gonna split up the fight a little bit, but here comes the rest of the members of Resist, as now it looks like Neilm want to get out of this fight, and it looks like that was the call. Covi still kind of hovering around. They might still go for something here, but it'd be pretty dangerous to do so after you've already lost so much momentum in this fight. But hold on, JiminyGlick stuck in a portal, and he's able to get out just barely. Meanwhile, Grishank chilling out in the jungle, doesn't have the ultimate available to him, and oh, NeiruMah using the chain. There's the slow from Bellona. There is the Geb shield into a dash, and Hercules, of all characters, is going to be the first one to go down of the Resist roster. The unkillable has been killed, and now it's not looking good for the rest of the members of Resist, who are being picked apart just one after another. There's the Mollusk trying to escape from Humbots, but unfortunately the slow might set up a kill opportunity. Nope, that's going to be an escape from Thor Mule's attunement, but JiminyGlick finding the kill on the Turnip, and the middle tower is going to be taken down. Phoenix is bare, and they're looking dead at it.
Yep, they definitely want to try and do what they can to be able to finish off this game, because of course this is the final game in the series. It is 2 for 2 currently. It's the best of 5. These guys have been battling it out for a good 4 hours right now. These guys have been slugging against each other, trying to beat each other, and whoever will win this will get a lot of money and a big spot in the relegations for next SPL season. So they definitely want to be able to try and do that. Mollusk's going to go up into the air, but he's not going to be able to find anyone. Unfortunately, he's been using that ultimate as mostly defensive, and now the Humbat's ultimate is going to come through. He's going to be able to be pulled in as well. He should not live, but a beautiful cataclysm going to keep him up for a little bit longer. Not enough though, but Balentine's TP'd in. Neilm is on the run as they are pretty low and they don't have much mana, so they've got to get out of it.
And even after all that, even after nearly losing the red buff, nearly losing your Hunbots, it was like, yeah, let's just say Gold Fury. What? Why? Just leave.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But the Gold Fury is going to be started up by Resist. This is one of the opportunities they want to try and grasp to get back into the game. Again, we've mentioned it before, but 13k gold difference, and that experience difference that was fluctuating, yeah, that's disappeared. It's now a 13k experience difference in favor of Neilm. Now, this is slightly mitigated by the fact that 4 members of Resist are 20. The main difference of the level 20 factor is coming into the support. Yeah.
At this point, we are so late into the game where basically XP does not matter. Gold is very close to not mattering. Neilm takes out the Gold Fury just to finalize their last couple of items. You can see Nox actually went into a very costly build, so she's got a whole item she needs to finish off. But most of these people are one item away, if not they're currently building their last item to be able to get into these full builds. The gold is very close to not mattering, and the XP is pretty much not mattering as well. Geb, even though he's level 17, it's only like a tiny bit of scaling in his 2. It's mostly the damage in the ultimate, which he's been using as more of a defense mechanism, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So at this point, I would effectively say that this doesn't exist anymore. It's just purely who will be able to get the best fight, as it looks like it's brewing up now.
Oh, but Balentine desperately trying to make some damage happen as JiminyGlick is going to be the one to secure the kill. And now NeiruMah having a support all as he's going to chain, and no escape on all 3. Beads popped. Everybody, no beads. Humbot's ultimate will hit all of you in the next fight. But in fact, actually, My bad, he doesn't have the Helmbot's ultimate. Eagle's Rally, though, still available, and it looks like the Fire Giant is going to be the call from Neilm.
Yeah, however, they know that there's a lot of stuff for Team Resist to be able to defend this. They're going to use Mollusk, trying to ult it. There's a Janus ready as well. They're immediately just going to turn off of it. They know they're not going to be able to do anything. Thor actually going to have to land down somewhere completely different. That's big for them. They're not going to be able to do this fight. JiminyGlick actually going to blink through the wall using his own ultimate onto the Thor. Not going to be able to finish him off, but Turnip taking so much damage.
Yeah, and this is the scary part about Nox. Now that she's gotten this high-cost build, it's really starting to show its colors. I'd almost argue that an Obsidian Shard would be just as fine to complete off her build. But Fire Giant still being done. Xbalanque has a lot of damage potential. He can just kind of wear it down very quickly, and I'm not sure that the rest of the members of Resist actually know what's happening, and it's too late. Resist Gaming not able to defend the Fire Giant. Neilm are going to walk away with this one, and they're also going to try and take down Leftsyndrome, who's going to get completely annihilated by PandaCat. And oh man, are they going to be able to try and even defend either of these Phoenixes left on the map, let alone the Titan?
Well, I didn't even realize the middle Phoenix was still down. It has just not come back up. And this is going to be a big thing for Neilm. It means that they can just walk into the middle of this. They can also take out that right side Phoenix. It's going to go down no matter what. Ares is going to get a very nice ultimate in. Going to be beast away by them. Balentine actually forced to use his ultimate to make sure he gets away. And now it looks like they're going to take the right side Phoenix as so much damage is coming out from this Ares that they can't really go and defend it.
I just saw Turnip take more than half of his health in one branching bola shot, and that is just the world that you live in now in a late game going up against Xbalanque. But Rama up in the air, he wants to try and solve that issue by taking out Nox. Nearly does it, he lands all 3 shots, but just not enough damage so far, and they're going to just turn their attention, oh, that Thor wall. That was the mean Thor wall.
Yeah,
they're gonna
very
take their
rude, but...
Back over to this left tower and try and take this out, but I don't think that they're going to be able to do it freely. They do have Fire Giants, so they have a lot of regen, but it might be fighting time as it looks like the rest of the members of Resist aren't wanting to leave alone this Bellona.
Yeah, it's got to late game. Even though there is a Fire Giant on the side of Neilm, they can still be fought by Resist. It is not game over if they start losing. Well, if they try and fight these guys, they can very easily do it. I don't think fighting on that tier 2 tower is the best choice, however. They really should be fighting on the Phoenix. It does a lot more damage and you can trap them much more easily in there. I mean, to put you into perspective, that Thor wall, if you can do that across the edge of the Phoenix, you can actually pretty much effectively lock anyone who's fighting in that Phoenix in there unless they have a jump or a way to get out. It's very brutal. And not many of the side of Neilm can actually get through that. It's pretty much only Grishank and Covi. And Covi would have to use his ultimate to do that. So if they can trap them in there and get a really good fight for themselves, that could be the way Resist can come back into this game. But it is going to be very difficult for them because Neilm have very high damage to structures. They have very high HP5 and MP5. They are going to be healing so much of this. They are on full health right now, and they're going to start the fight on the left side Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. Just keep your minions pushed up so that at any given moment, fire minions are going to be pushing into the Titan room, and basically just look for any kind of split off opportunity where they directed someone over to the fire minions, but now it looks like they're just going to go and start the fight. Thor missing his ultimate, Cataclysm only landing onto 1. No escape used, NeiruMah already taking a bunch of damage, but he is going to be able to survive, it looks like. Meanwhile, over on the other side, the Bellona just doing a ton of damage onto a couple of members of Resist, and Geb just barely escaping, but unfortunately the Phoenix doesn't share the same fate. It's going to be taken out, and there's no Phoenixes left to defend this Titan. As fire minions are starting to pour into the base, they have to make a last stand here soon if they want to still win this game. Meanwhile, Batz still holding on to dear life. Barely. He's going to be able to get out, and unfortunately NeiruMah not able to do the same. He's going to be taken out by Turnip, and the rest of the members of Neilm need to go ahead, back off, be happy with the fact that they've taken out all 3 Phoenixes, and Resist have to completely stay in base just to survive this game.
And it was, as I said, they got a really nice Thor wall which blocked Ares, and I believe it was the Bellona in as well, which made it so that they were taking way too much damage. They couldn't really stay that long. It wasn't until afterwards that Team Resist could finally capitalize on this, though. However, Neilm did take out that Phoenix. They're all down, and now Resist has to have at least one person in every single lane trying to defend this. So that Fire Giant, even though it's gone now, it's gonna go again to Neilm. If they want it, it's free for them. They can go get it for all that Resist cares, because they can't defend their Phoenixes and also go for this Fire Giant.
Oh man, Neilm is basically just chilling out in a specific spot of the jungle, watching their enemy opponents to see if they can catch one of them out or maybe do worse. But right now, this is one of the awkward situations of having all your Phoenixes down, is that if you do come up to defend the Fire Giant, you basically have to guarantee a win team fight, because if not only are you going to just surrender your base, but you're going to surrender the Fire Giant in the event that you don't lose everyone. Otherwise, the enemy team usually just goes straight for the kill. But their Phoenixes did come back up, so that at least 2 lanes now have a Phoenix that is able to protect the Titan. However, only Geb can try and defend this this Fire Giant attempt, and it's not really going to matter. As you take a look at Geb's health, he's going to be taken down way too low to do anything about it. No escape used on the Turnip, who is going to pop beads, and oh man, Fire Giant again. Neilm's probably going to walk away with this one.
Yep, they could very much walk away. There are 2 Phoenixes up, but they are easily going to be taken out. deadlymidget actually going to get silenced, not going to get rooted though. He is going to be safe a little bit. But that middle Phoenix is now down. Very nice ultimate from Hercules, actually going to be able to try and do as much as possible. PandaCat quite low, but mollusk is going to be the first blood of this fight. And now they're going to keep on going. Covi looking in the background for deadlymidget is going to be able to get the stun. That's going to be him. No, the Aegis is going to keep him alive. And now the Phoenix, and now the Titan is going to be under attack. The right side Phoenix is going to be taken down by the home Batz. Only Leftsyndrome can really do too much here. NeiruMah is going to get pulled in, but he's so tanky that it doesn't matter. Turnip is going to be finished off by PandaCat, who then finishes off deadlymidget. And now this is going to be only Hercules trying to defend against everyone on the side of Neilm, and that's going to be the game going to Neilm 46 minutes in.
You know, they had a good defense opportunity, but then 2-shot Xbalanque just had to ruin the party, and unfortunately Resist wasn't able to actually finish it off. But, you know, good game overall, but I think that the biggest problem Resist was having was that they never actually had their front line doing frontline things. I mean, the damage numbers were there on the backside. Rama had a huge performance at certain parts of the game. Janus, of course, being 3 and 4, he actually had a good performance as well. But Geb, 0 and 8, wasn't able to actually get to a point where he was comfortable at the front line. Actually didn't even finish off his items, was still missing one. And Hercules, kind of the same boat, but a little different. He was the front line with nobody there with him. He kind of actually got isolated out quite a few times, so it just ended really poorly for a lot of the front line of Team Resist, and they couldn't actually securely do damage from the backside. Thor made some good plays, but again, with no front line to really back you up, it's kind of hard to be a Thor in that situation.
Yeah, just unfortunately for Team Resist, they just couldn't make it work. They didn't have enough damage in their backside to be able to defend their front line. That just made sure that Neilm could slowly and easily push out these kills, get a couple of kills in each fight, be able to get a good objective after the fight as well, and it just made sure that they were ahead a lot of the time. There was a lot of XP swing between both teams. It was going 1,000 in one, then 1,000 in the other in their favor constantly for the first 20 minutes. However, as it went on, Neilm was just finding more and more, and Resist couldn't find the towers, which are the objectives you need to kill. It is that simple thing. At high-level competitive Smite, this is SBL or Challenger Cup, you are not going to win the game through a surrender, most likely. You are going to win the game when that Titan falls after you've taken out their Phoenix. That is the biggest thing, and if you can't get those towers, you can't really do much else.
I can't do anything but agree with you there on that one. But, you know, good game. I wish we could spend just days, months even, analyzing the intricacies of that game. But unfortunately, and fortunately, we get to move on to the finals, where we get to watch 2 Titans who have made it all the way from week 1 to now face off against each other for the opportunity at $5,000. Both of these teams have already secured themselves a relegation spot. So now it's all about the money and the pride, baby. It's all about the glory at this point.
Yep, indeed. And, I mean, these are some very interesting teams. Risky Behavior, they came into the 2-week round robin that we had before the start of these finals. They came into that first seed, and they did amazingly. I think they were the only team to get, in the entire tournament, to go 6-0 in their round robin, whereas most of the others went 5-1. So this is a very big deal for them. They have done very well to get this far, and they are in the finals. They are the team to beat. Neilm, on the other hand, they came in 8th. They had a lot of problems, actually, in the first couple of weeks of open bracket. However, they just scraped through, in fact, for the side of, well, in their 2 weeks as well. They got the lowest points out of our top 4 teams. But they were able to win against Resist. They had some very nice games against Resist today. And now they're up against the top seeded team. They are ready to go. And we need to get ready to go as well. So we're going to go get to a quick break. We will be back as soon as we can with the grand finals of North American Challenger Cup in the full split. See you soon.